Hey guys, it's Justin the Diabetic here. This week I promised you guys a live stream since I was late on getting a video together. So hopefully a couple of you guys will join. If not, that's okay. I do have a couple items I would like to talk about. So if you haven't already, check out last week's video on the Medtronic 770G BG required alerts. That video kind of got a little popular for my typical videos. Um, and I kind of got reached out a little bit slash directed to some Medtronic employees to try to see if we can resolve that issue. So if I do hear back from them, I have shared my CareLink information so that way they can review my data. So if I do hear back, I will share if what they recommend, and if I do end up resolving the issue. So with that being said, I also want to clear up a couple points from last week's video. So to make it clear, I'm not complaining or blaming Medtronic because my basal rate might be a little too high. I am blaming Medtronic for the fact that one, the algorithm for auto mode gets confused with a stable blood sugar glucose level that's within range, anywhere from 100 to 130, when the pump is not pumping insulin, and it will exit auto mode because of this confusion with its algorithm. And then once it exits autos mode, there is no safety feature in place to suspend the pump before a low if you were doing no activity like sleeping. And, at that point, you could have a low. The pump's not going to stop pumping. So that's kind of like my main frustrations. With that being said, I have heard from somebody at Medtronic, and I will touch on that, that the 780G will resolve that issue. So if you have suspend before low active and manual mode and you go to auto mode, it will stay active if you get pushed back into manual mode because of an auto mode exit. I think that is a very good safety feature to have. Um, the 780G is also supposed to extend the time that you're in safe basal from 2 hours, is the current one with the 770G. I'm not sure what they're going to extend it to. And then hopefully with the 780G and the new G4 sensor with Medtronic, you won't have to do any calibrations. So hopefully all three of those tied together will eliminate the issue altogether. But as discussed in last week's video, the primary problem is that algorithm, getting confused because the pump doesn't have to give you insulin because your blood sugars are stable. So that's kind of my big complaint with that. It was also posted in several Facebook groups this week about the 780G that Medtronic is hoping to have it the FDA approval for the United States in the next 3 to 4 months. I know some people are kind of like, let's push back again. I do believe that the 780G was supposed to be FDA approved. They were hoping by the end of 2021, and that didn't happen. So um, here we are. We have another setback, but this setback is most likely caused by a notice that the FDA gave Medtronic a little over a month ago. I'm not 100% sure what the notice was about. I do believe it was something about a pump recall, and the FDA didn't like the way that Medtronic handled it, and they wanted Medtronic to resolve the issue. So it sounds like the FDA is holding the US approval for the 780G hostage until Medtronic resolves those issues that they were told about a month ago. So, with that being said, for those of you who've been following along, you know that I am due for a new insulin pump beginning of August of this year. So, with that being said, I have been researching, and I haven't fully decided, but I'm going to kind of weigh some of my pros and cons from the three majors, Medtronic, Tandem, and an Omnipod with you guys this week, and kind of just share what I think about the pumps based on some of the research that I've seen. I posted a couple weeks ago about the Omnipod 5. I used to be a podder, is what they call people who wear the Omnipod. I did enjoy the Omnipod. I left the Omnipod for the CGM. At the time, Dexcom wasn't covered by my parents' insurance, and the Medtronic CGM working with the insulin pump just seemed like a better fit. I didn't want to carry the Dexcom receiver, my Omnipod PDM, all of my testing supplies and all of that. Um, Basically, at that point in my life, I didn't want to have to worry about always having that stuff with me. So we made the switch from the Omnipod, which I was on for almost 4 full years, to the Medtronic 530G and the Enlight sensor. So the Omnipod 5 kind of resolves that. I know at the beginning the iPhone might not be supported, and I will have to carry around the locked Samsung phone that Omnipod is going to use for the control to my pump, and I'm okay with that. I mean, if you sit there and you think about it, currently, I have an insulin pump attached to me, so I'm okay with having that device for the Omnipod at first, knowing that in six
Sorry, could you
months,
say that?
excuse me, sorry Siri, that in 6 months to a year, um, I could just be carrying around my mobile phone, which is always with me. So that's kind of exciting and a pro for the Omnipod system. With that being said, if you've noticed, the Tandem T-Slim X2 was also just approved by the FDA for a mobile phone application to do remote bolus. So that also brings the Tandem back into question. I don't really like the thought of an insulin pump with a touch screen. My biggest complaint was if something happens to the screen or anything like that, it scratches up. You're constantly typing on it. Uh, but the mobile control feature with the phone, depending on how that starts to work once it is released, is a benefit for the pump. Tandem does do over-the-air updates to their pumps, so I don't know. I'm kind of undecided. I like the thought of the Tandem pump with the Control IQ software. But today, before coming live with you guys, I was doing some research comparing the Tandem X2 with Control IQ to the Omnipod 5. The Omnipod kind of has a couple pros for me. I like that the Omnipod 5, you can select your target between 110 and 150, and those targets can change throughout the day. So if in the morning, let's start at night. So at night, you want your target to be, let's say, 130. And as you get up and get your day started, you want a tighter control because you're able to monitor. You can do that. I do believe that they said you can have that target change up to 8 times throughout the day, which I think is very beneficial for um, most people's lifestyles and being able to let them have that level of tight control that they would want when they want it. Whereas the Tandem is like Medtronic and it is a target of 110 constantly. Medtronic is a target of 125 or 120, I think. Anyway, it's somewhere close. So those have set targets. You can't really change them. The Tandem pump has the exercise and a sleep mode. The sleep mode, I believe, will bring the target up to about 130. I think I'm not 100% sure on that. But the exercise mode with the Tandem targets a blood glucose between 140 and 160. So it kind of is the goal is to give you less insulin and let your blood sugar rise up a little bit. So I mean, it kind of depends on how you look at it. So that's that. The Tandem does, however, have an extended bolus option, like a dual wave bolus on the manual mode of a Medtronic pump, which if you're interested in that, that could be a pro for you with the Tandem. Omnipod doesn't have an extended bolus feature for their pump because they believe that the algorithm for the pump and its predictive methods up to 60 minutes based on your trend will be able to resolve that for you. Now, talking about predictive algorithms within their smart technology, the Omnipod, like I just said, will look at estimate what your blood glucose is going to be up to 60 minutes, where the Tandem only looks ahead for about 30 minutes to kind of guesstimate your insulin needs and your demands to uh, kind of be on top of your blood sugars. So I think that's also another benefit with the Omnipod is that you get that additional 30 minutes of predictive time. So basically, I guess that kind of settles everything. I'm really interested at going back to the Omnipod. I am interested in starting the Dexcom with the G6. Both Omnipod and Tandem have said that they are going to go to the Dexcom G7 when that is out. So I think that will be a good upgrade for both of those systems, because the new Dexcom G7 is supposed to be significantly smaller than the current G6 sensor. So I guess I kind of have my mind made up to go with the Omnipod 5, but I do have a couple more months with Medtronic while the limited release of the Omnipod 5 is out and they start to get ready for the new, the actual live launch for the pump. There are some differences with the way that the Omnipod 5 supplies from Omnipod and then Dexcom are shipped out to customers. It's from what I've gathered, it's a prescription base, so you can either get the supplies from your pharmacy or you can have them sent to you from a mail-in pharmacy, which could also be different with insurance. So once benefits are actually checked, then I'll know if I am making the switch to the Omnipod 5 or not. So I guess I kind of got to wait a little bit longer before I'm for sure, but that's where I kind of stand with things. There have been a couple of you I can see that are watching. So if you have any questions, you can type them and I will try to answer. I'll give you guys a minute or two. But other than that, that's all I have to say for this week. Well, my watcher's popped off. So I guess I'll see you guys next week. And if you have any questions, drop a comment down below. See you guys next time. Have a good weekend. Okay, I'm done.